and we just got the text through, and we were like, oh my God, it's happening. It's really happening.
Hello, Matt Mills, and welcome to Theatre Therapy Thursday here at West End Best Friend. How are you doing?
I'm fine, yeah. I'm doing very, very well, actually,
Good,
considering.
Good to hear. Well, yeah, considering. Well. So, Matt Mills, for everyone who doesn't know who Matt Mills is, who is Matt Mills?
That's a very interesting question, a very introspective question. No, I'm not going to be vague about it. I am a singer, actor, and dancer. Have been for the last 10 years. I've moved in and out of the industry. I've done bits and pieces here, there, and everywhere. I've kind of been like a jack of all trades, and I don't even know if I'm a master of none. But yeah, just a bit of a jack of all trades. Yeah, I love my job. I want to get back to it, please, government, if you're watching.
That's you in a nutshell. So what have you done career-wise? What's your career journey been like?
My first ever show was a show at the West Yorkshire Playhouse, which was like a Breeze Festival thing. That was like the first time I ever did anything like truly on stage. And then I did Sweeney Todd at the Carriage Works Theatre back when I was like 16. And that was kind of like my first stage experience that got me the bug. And then, yeah, over the last few years, I did the Hope Mill Theatre's production of Parade. And then I did Five Guys Named Mo, where I played Nomax. And then I did Beautiful, where I was one of the drifters. Motown, where I understudied Berry Gordy, and I was Eddie Kendricks of the Temptations, and Jermaine Jackson, and a plethora of other characters, actually. I've played a lot of people in that show. And then just before the craziness that is COVID-19 and lockdown, I was about to go into the West End as Richard Bullock in Tina, and understudying Ike Turner as well. That's kind of like a brief summary, darling.
Speaking of, what was that like to obviously get to rehearse Tina and to get so close to doing it, and then them being like, because Tina is your West End debut, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The rehearsals were amazing. Every single person in the cast, and it's really, really weird because whenever you talk to people about their cast and stuff, no one wants to badmouth anybody in this or any other. And I'm not going to get today either. I'm not going to today because every single person, genuinely, it's been a while where every single person in the cast is so hungry and so focused to tell this story so authentically. Everyone brought their A game every single day we rehearsed. So we were rehearsing for about 5 weeks, and not one day did anybody take their foot off the gas. It's that type of room, and everyone was just laughing with each other and stuff. And, you know, we had to keep an element of levity in the room because the story is, there is tragedy, but there's also incredible triumph and strength in Tina's story. It was a pleasure to come to work every day. I love my job. I loved going to work every day. Monday morning didn't feel like Monday morning to me. And then, yeah, for it to be, I mean, you know, Monday the 16th of March, where West End went dark, was just insane. I was at Leon with one of my castmates, and we just got the text through, and we were like, oh my God, it's happening. It's really happening. Because it was really weird, because on that Monday, there was a sense in the air that there was an uneasy feeling.
Yeah.
Like there never was before in any of the rehearsals. There's this uneasy feeling. It was just present throughout the day. I can't describe what it was like, but it was there. You know, if you've ever had that feeling, it was just there. And then when we went out to lunch, we had our break because we were doing tech. We were like literally going to open the next day. So our opening night was the 17th and we closed on the 16th. Oh, it was devastating. I was devastated. I really was. One of the things that was one of the shining lights, excuse the pun, in terms of going through that was when we came out of the theatre, all our names have been put up in lights. So this was like the biggest cast change in Tina's kind of history. The majority of the cast knew. And it's also a new imagining of the show. So it's a new version for London now that we're doing, slight changes and script rewrites and pacing and things like that. And we just saw all our names in life. It was awesome. Like, well, back soon. But it was lovely. That humbled me a lot. That made me feel good. I've been working for a West End debut for a while, and it's been one of the things on my list that I wanted to do badly, and I worked hard for it. So I felt good. So I was kind of like, you've worked hard to get this far. I don't think this is where it ends. It's patience at the end of the day. It's patience and just hopefully the government continues to help us out in a way that is productive so we can get back to doing what we love to do and people love to see.
Speaking of lockdown, the situation that we're obviously now in-ish,
yes,
also not in this weird we don't even know where we are anymore situation.
Yeah.
How have you found lockdown as an artist?
I've always been a massive nerd. Always been a massive nerd. I've always been like an extroverted introvert. So I could be around loads of people, but I'm very fine being by myself and playing video games all day, or watching movies all day, or watching analysis of video games and movies and TV shows all day and stuff in terms of narrative and structure of media. And analysis of media as well. I've been doing a lot of that. I've been doing a lot of game, like as an actor. I'm very, very inspired by video game acting because of the medium that it's taking on. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. I've just been gaming a lot. I've been watching a lot of movies that I haven't watched for ages. I haven't had time to watch because I've been on the go so much for the last couple of years doing tours and stuff. So having the time to do that has been lovely. Another thing, just catching up with friends, catch up with people again I haven't had time to catch up with, people who aren't, in proximity of me. I've just been able to catch up and just check in on them, see how they're doing, see how everything's going. And then another thing that I made sure I did as well was that fitness for me, I like fitness, I do, for the sole purpose that it helps me do my job better.
Yeah.
I love that side of fitness. But in terms of not having a date where I'm going back yet, fitness is really hard for me. So one of the things is like, okay, if I'm not going to work out my body, I'm going to work out my mind. So the thing that I was going to do was try and watch as many things, talk to as many people about certain issues that I do not understand or have a level of ignorance towards. LGBTQ plus stuff, which I've been watching. I watched Disclosure on Netflix about the trans movement and of trans people, which was absolutely amazing and really eye-opening. I've been looking into feminism, been looking into men's rights issues. I've been looking deeper into Black Lives Matter movement because that's been something, obviously it's lived experience to me, so something that's very, very close to me, but simultaneously I think everyone can do with knowledge and facts to back up their lived experience and their kind of emotional reaction to what's been happening right now, the emotional stimulus of what's going on right now. Because I think, arguing with emotion is half the battle, but like arguing with facts and figures always hits harder. You can't argue with objectivity, right? For me, like, it's just been a broadening of mind and perspective and understanding of things that are outside of my lived experience, which, has been an education in and of itself. And just been listening to music, going out, having some walks, like doing the usual stuff, really. I just trying to experience as many things that, my mind can take day by day. So yeah, that's how I've been keeping myself going. The thing is, I think for me, I've never been one to jump on and sing loads of stuff for other people. I get very over analytical of myself when I put out stuff like that. So that's why I haven't kind of jumped into that. But I've been so appreciative of seeing everybody else show their excellence, show their artistry, show their willingness to continue to entertain, even though we're not being entertained by the powers that be.
So now we're going to move on to a little section that I like to call How to Succeed in Quizness Without Really Trying, which I know is your obviously your favourite thing ever.
I'm going to fail at this so bad.
I have 3 questions for you, based on shows that you've been in. Bit of a trivia. So we've got a parade question, a Five Guys question, and a beautiful question. So first up, parade. How many Tonys did Parade win? And I will give you one either side.
Jesus Christ, how many did it win? I will say, this is a pure guess, absolute pure guess, 4.
Oh, it's 2.
Oh, damn it.
Good.
We're working on evens.
Number 2, Five Guys Named Much. Did Five Guys premiere on the West End or on Broadway?
Broadway.
West End?
See, the bit that kills me about it is, right, I was trying to remember, because there was an old VHS of Five Guys Named Mo in Britain, in West End, and I didn't know if that was the premiere or if it was the
revival.
The transfer, the revival. So I didn't know, so I was like, oh, it's a Broadway. But yeah, funny enough, Tina, premiered on West End.
Yeah, it did as well. Finally, Matt Mills.
Terrible.
Again,
I'm doing terrible.
I will accept a year either side. How many years did Beautiful run on Broadway for?
Oh, God.
This is so entertaining for me. I love it. This is my favourite one I've done yet.
It's so bad. Okay, I'm gonna say 6 years.
It ran
5
for
years.
So you get the point.
Yes.
1
I was
point.
Say the fan genuinely. I'm happy with that. I'm glad I got 1 point in something. I'm so bad at quizzes, man. That's one of the things I haven't been jumped on as well. Like Zoom quizzes, I've been doing it with my girlfriend and her family, and I've been awful at them like all the time, except for the one I did, which was about nerdy stuff, which no one got, which is amazing.
But I loved it.
I reveled in it like you were just then.
This is Theatre Therapy Thursdays, after all, because we, like everyone else, believe that music is good for the soul. Some music that's great for the soul is musical theatre. If I threw you on a desert island and I could throw you one cast recording that you could listen to until the dawn of time, but only one, what would it be and why?
See, I immediately think of two, and I will make a case for both. One of them's a show I've done, one of them's a show I've not done. Don Maher version of Parade is phenomenal. Is absolutely phenomenal. It was the one I kind of listened to religiously, especially during the audition period. And whilst I was researching, I just had that soundtrack on loop. Like it was amazing, and it beat the original production cast recording of it as well, which was, I was just like, yeah, Britain. The other one would be the Hamilton soundtrack. I know it's cliche, loads of people talking about Hamilton right now.
But it's cliche for a reason.
But yeah, cliche doesn't necessarily make it wrong or bad. So Hamilton was something that was outside of the musical theatre cliche spectrum. Every song felt like it was a moment, and it really was communicated in a way where you could fit so much information into the spoken word form, but keep it going like an opera. So it's like a hip opera in that sense. But the hip hop element, which I'm heavily into, I love hip hop. So this entire soundtrack is right up my alley. But it's a show I'd love to be in. I think if you just put me on a desert island and given the context and the situation, I'd go for Hamilton.
So next question, which is one that people tend to hate me for, but I ask it anyway. If you had to pick one song that you think is a perfect example of what a musical theatre song should do, what would it be? You know what?
I'm going to grab from Hamilton again, but I'll explain why. So History Has Its Eyes on You is probably the song that comes to mind when I think of that. Because a lot of people remember, Guns and Ships, because it's loud and bombastic and it's done in that iambic pentameter. It's being shot out like a machine gun. You've got the Stylist Sisters, which is just soul as hell, and you just vibe to that song. But I think there's something really beautiful when you see a very powerful man be very quiet, very sincere, but very focused. And I think it's where the character of George Washington, who sings the song, communicates his authority and his a level of elegance and a level of wisdom to someone who is so eager to, he calls them out in the show multiple times of like, why do you want to die? And I love the fact that it's quiet and it's reflective and it's introspective and it's wise, but it's wisdom that's earned through pain.
Have a listen. For everyone who doesn't know, here is History Has Its Eyes on You from the original Broadway cast recording of Hamilton.
Let me tell you what I wish I'd known when I was young and dreamed of glory. You have no control. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? I know that we can win. I know that greatness lies in you. But remember, from here on in, history has its eyes on you.
Right, Matt Mills. Now we're in lockdown, obviously. What type of music have you found? Is there a particular type, album, playlist, anything that you felt has been your musical therapy that's gotten you through?
I've quite an eclectic kind of mix of music. I feel like such a fence-sitting thing to say.
Yeah.
I listen to everything. I'd say, like, in terms of a preference, like I was saying before, hip-hop and R&B and soul, they're kind of my thing. So I listened a lot to, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Into the Spider-Verse is, like, my favourite Spider-Man movie now. It really, really is. It has been since it came out. I love it. There is a piece of music that I absolutely adore, and it's not a remix, but it's a point where Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man. This is not a spoiler for anyone seeing it. There's a point where Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man, and he really realizes who he is, and he takes hold of who he is, and what his purpose within his world is. And it's gorgeous because it links so many kind of like musical narrative cues and also the pictures and everything that's kind of going on with the movie. And it links into it's a song called What's Up Danger, but it's the guy who did the music, his name's, I think it's like Daniel Pemberton. It might not be, but he's absolutely phenomenal anyway. And he links this kind of like orchestral heroes theme into hip hop, into this kind of coming of age, kind of like rising type of music, and stuff like that just gives me goosebumps. I think stuff like superheroes are a phenomenal escapism to when you feel trapped.
Yeah,
everyone's in lockdown. Everyone feels like they've had their rights restricted by the government for reasons to do with, with health and keeping people going and making sure people are okay. But it also feels like something's been taken away from them and they feel powerless. And superheroes are the fantasy of having powers and being able to stand for what's right and step up when the time's and overcoming stuff, and facing trials and tribulations and coming out of it the other side really badly scathed, but learning a lot and becoming stronger for it. And I think superhero movies and superhero music and stuff like that, for me, is emblematic of what we're going through right now. If I can do that with music, that's what I've kind of been going to, especially the soundtrack to Into the Spider-Verse, because I love it. It's like my favorite superhero movie right now.
Let's go on to some questions. So the first one up from Mel is a kind of a lockdown-based question. She asked, what have you been doing to keep yourself motivated in this time?
Ooh, okay. There are like go-to movies that I go to them whenever I'm feeling, if I've ever had a hard day, or had a lot of things to think about, or it's a lot of kind of like tough subject matter, especially within Tina, especially playing characters like Ike and Richard Bullock. You have a lot of kind of like serious and quite like mentally draining subject matter to deal with and to process and to figure out how you play that authentically. So you have a lot of stuff to process, and I turn to a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies because every single conversation, irrespective of whether it's kind of like high fantasy, like stuff like Kill Bill, which is just like bloody and crazy, violent, every single conversation is delivered authentically, realistically within that world. Watching dialogue like that reminds me that there is just a fluidity to acting that I love. I love watching phenomenal actors do brilliant work, and it kind of reminds me, oh yeah, I want to do that. That's the type of work I want to aspire to do. Watching that and being inspired by that has kept me motivated and kept me going, I think, because I can't wait to get on stage and hopefully come close to delivering moments like that within Tina.
Andy wants to know, what's your biggest advice for people who are auditioning for drama schools or looking to audition for drama schools?
Wow, okay. Full disclosure, I never trained. I didn't train in any type of conservatoire. I had a lot of mentors. I had a lot of fantastic people in my life who came in at different points in my life and gave me different bits of advice. And I'd say my main bit of advice is something that Bryan Cranston said, who's a phenomenal actor, Breaking Bad fame, and, Malcolm in the Middle as well. His advice, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not saying, exactly what he said, but it's along the lines of the audition is the job. If you treat the audition like you would if you booked the job, treat it with the same kind of like discipline, character study, rehearsal and practice that you would, going on stage to do a job or going on TV to do a job or whatever. And then once you do that audition, that's the job. It's over, it's done, go home, leave it alone. I would also say just have fun. One of the things that I tried to train myself to do was enjoy the part of my job I enjoyed the least. I, for a long time, hated auditions. Hated them. And I think if you talk to a lot of actors, they feel the same. They it's a weird, awkward situation. Like people go for a job interview and they sit down and go, okay, your CV says this, and let's talk to you, see how you are, what type of person you are. Great, awesome, see you later. Audition is like you come in front of like 4 people in a room. They go sing. They go dance, do a monologue, get immediately emotional in front of 4 people you've never met before.
Yeah, completely.
And you have to prove that you can do your job. It's a weird kind of thing, but I think I try to find the hilarity in all of it, because it is hilarious if you really think about it. And because of that hilarity, use that to take the tension out of the situation and allow yourself to just have fun.
Adam wants to know, what's your dream role or your dream show?
Oh, well, I've talked about it a lot. So Hamilton, I would love to either play George Washington or Mulligan Madison.
And the only other question was from Gemma, which was favourite musical and why?
I don't know. It's really hard. You know what? The musical that made me want to do more musical theatre was Caroline or Change. I saw it when I was 16. It was a Christmas present from my singing teacher. And she said, it's heard of this phenomenal musical. It's called Carolina Change. You need to come and see it. I think you'll absolutely love it. And I just sat there and cried. I was just in awe. And my jaw was on the floor and it didn't come up until we needed to get out. I was absolutely taken aback beyond words. I couldn't tell you a song from it. I just remember the feeling of seeing a lot of black excellence on stage, basically. That really resonated with me to a point where I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I'm sure this is what I want to do now. I was about 15. About 15 at this point. I got my first job when I was 16. This is another reason why, and this is anyone who's listening, I think this is one of the reasons why I thoroughly endorse a piece of advice that was given to me when I was about 18 years old. And they were like, never let someone know when you have someone in. And this is not like walking around telling other people like, oh yeah, hey, Duncan, I've got my mum in tonight. The idea about not letting someone know when you have someone in is the idea of never let your performance change when you have someone in, basically. Say you're performing, I'm performing away and stuff like that, came off, oh, my mum was in the audience tonight. What? Really? Oh, okay, that's lovely. Not, I could tell. You don't ever want that reaction. Don't get me wrong, there'll always be an added bit of something when someone's in. But your overall quality and consistency of performance and energy should never drop because no one's in that you know. Those people on stage for Carolina Change didn't know me from Adam, but they inspired me in ways that have resonated for the last 13 years of my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can remember that performance.
That's brilliant.
So vividly, in terms of just the feelings I felt, not necessarily like songs and lines and numbers, but... And I think that's what you can do for people when you engage in the medium with every single bit that you have and every bit of love that you can give to it.
Matt, thank you so much for coming and being here on Theatre Therapy Thursday. The interview's been great. You've been a legend. Thank you. Take care and stay safe in this mad time.
Thank you, darling.
Bye.
Bye.